Welcome to Horrors Yet Unseen, the podcast where we assign each other horror movies to watch and then talk about it so our spouses don't have to listen to us go on and on and on about scary stuff they don't like. I'm Zach.
And I'm Steve. Let's talk about some scary movies. By the way, there will absolutely be spoilers in this show. You have been warned.
So, dude, is Homelander saving his pubes? Okay.
I was not thinking of it that way in those words.
Dude, he's saving them.
He's only saving the gray ones.
It don't matter.
When I saw him putting that in the jar with the other ones, I was like, it's like maybe just like psychological safety. I had to reclassify it in the head as he's saving some gray hairs.
No,
because I couldn't
get past it.
I couldn't sit with my self and think and realize that's what's going on. So thank you for ruining my day, Zach.
Yes, no problem. Also, light spoilers for season 4 of The Boys. Homelander is definitely saving his gray pubic hairs. He is saving all of his gray hair. In general. Because, they talked about how he's dyeing his hair, more often now. And, yeah, but because he is getting older and he's having a midlife crisis and he's leaning into all of that kind of stuff. And I understand, but, dude, the fact that he has a jar, and it's like halfway full. That's what's crazy. Is that it's not like, oh, he found one peeing. Cool, whatever. Also, why is it so long? Cool. Why is it? Why is it so long?
Oh boy! See, you need to please stop asking questions about pubes.
I can't not ask these questions, Steve. These are the questions. If you're gonna show it, I gotta ask questions.
This is why you have a therapist, buddy.
I know. You don't have. I don't think you have any room to talk. At the end of the day, with the disturbing movies that you watch. Let's be honest with ourselves. If this is my lane, you stay in your lane. I'm gonna ask questions about Homelander.
Well, when he was putting it up, the jar up in that little, he has also had the little bottle of breast milk,
dude,
in that little area. Did you see that? And then he also had a picture of, the gal, what was her name? The one who's a Nazi. The other
Stormfront.
Yes, she had a picture of Stormfront, olden time Stormfront, in a gray, a black and white picture with a Nazi symbol on it.
Yeah,
it's like his memento area.
Yeah,
and his pubes go in his favorite. Or... Yeah, yes, exactly,
dude. It's small little details like that endear me to the show, though. That's the thing is
yeah. Well, there's so many things about the show you could say, you could the phrase "he's saving his pubes." It's what, or you could say, so is Deep really having a long-term sexual relationship with a talking octopus?
That's not as strange to me.
What?
Okay. Because here's the deal. I know that the whole thing is not real. The whole show's not real, right?
Okay.
Superheroes don't exist.
I'm glad you see that. Yeah.
But in this world, of course, Deep would have a relationship with some sort of aquatic animal. Of course he would. That makes complete sense to me. An older or a middle-aged superhero plucking out and saving his 2.5-inch long pubic hairs. And I'm just pulling that number out of my butt. I don't know. Dude, come on. This is the way we're starting this episode. We got to come in hot. You gotta come in hot. Also, that's not necessarily the weirdest part of that episode.
You're right. Yeah.
You did text me when I was getting ready to start that episode and was like, so many wieners. That's how you ushered me into episode 2. Was, dude, so all caps, so many wieners. And I was like, oh,
Was
that's,
I wrong?
you weren't. One might argue it was really just the same wiener because the dude just duplicates himself, but we don't necessarily need to get into wiener talk at this point.
Yeah,
We've
we're good
already
from
entered
there.
in pubic hair talk, and
Yeah, thank you
apparently
for
that
that.
makes you uncomfortable enough that you've said multiple times now. Zach, please stop saying that. So I will somewhat respect that and stop saying pubic
Pubic hair.
hair.
Oh, dude.
So okay, well, did you see the Smile 2 drop their trailer today?
I did, like, on my way down here, I was kind of watching it on my phone. Yeah. It's
And
really interesting. It looks like it's like a kind of a different direction with it, I guess. No, the direction, I guess. I don't know. I'm also, it's interesting to see what's going to happen. I don't really know. I'm kind of trying not to like judge it too much beforehand, but I liked the first one.
yeah,
Yeah. Did you like
I
the first
just
one?
I did like I wouldn't say that I liked it. I enjoyed watching the movie. It was fine. It wasn't a bad movie. I've seen worse. like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It was properly unsettling, I thought.
I didn't because I put this movie in a box of it doesn't need a sequel. When they announced
Yep.
Smile 2, I was like, what? I did like the fact that they aren't necessarily continuing the story. It's just this
Right. Different person.
particular disease, demon, virus. I don't know what, if they ever classify it as just maybe a fear. I don't know. Whatever manifestation this is, they are like, it can affect anybody, anywhere. So I'm curious if there's going to be a time jump. I'm curious if it's happening at the same time. Is this a prequel? Is this.
Hmm.
I'm more curious about how they're going to differentiate the entity this time
Yeah.
around. Because of the ending of the original Smile being that she
Which I
pulled
don't
her
remember.
freaking skin off, and like she opened her mouth and like pulled her skin off, and it has a million different mouths within mouths within mouths within mouths. You
Oh,
remember
that's
that?
right. Yeah.
And she like ate her whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious as is it going to be the same? Is it going to be different? Is this movie, in my opinion, going to be worth a number 2? It's or I shouldn't say number 2 because that's poop. Sequel. Is the movie going to be number 2 or is it going to be number 2? You need to get what I mean?
Is it going to be a number 2 or a sequel?
Boom. There it is. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, there it is.
They'll
That's right.
they'll at least get my money.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
By the way, speaking of money, I got a free ticket to Maxine when it opens.
What?
Yeah.
How?
Because I forgot that I had signed up for the A24 member thing. Like I'm an A24 member because I thought that it was going to be doing something. It's not doing anything for me at all. It's like $5 a month that I forgot that I was paying.
Mm.
And they send me like a little booklet once in a while, and I got this card. It's like like a credit card size thing. It's like A24 member. I'm like, okay. And then they send me a code for a free ticket, and so I need to go cancel that because it's not worth it. $5 a month. But yeah, it's interesting. And they, by the way, A24 has they have a streaming service on their own platform. So if they, for some reason, you can like rent stuff, or you can buy movies on their website and stream them from there on your phone or your website on the web browser, or whatever. If you are a person who enjoys the A24 style of fare, and
Yeah.
you've been watching a lot more A24 movies, right? So
Well,
see,
ever since I asked that question, I think it might have been the last time we spoke. I asked like, "What's your favorite A24 movie?" And I was looking at how prolific they've been as a studio,
yeah,
and yeah, it has caused me to watch significantly more A24 movies. Some of them, I mean, they're not all. I'm not gonna say they're all great. They're all A24 movies.
right.
Like they all have that in common, but some are so slow that I literally wanna, I don't know,
Not watch it.
not watch it. I guess yeah, I can't think of anything, so we're just gonna go with the basic. I turn it off immediately. Like I started watching, and I don't know. It Nothing grabbed me about Saint Maeve or Maud
Mod,
Saint
must say
Maud.
mod.
Yeah, nothing really grabbed me
That
about the
was slow.
beginning of that movie, so I was like, I'm out, at least for right now.
That's
Um,
worth watching. Like you can skip around. Just like watch the last 10 minutes.
yeah,
Pretty. It's pretty brutal.
yeah. See, that's the thing is like a lot of that A24 stuff is like really in depth storytelling for 98% of the movie, and then that
Right.
last 2% is just so freaking wild, mouth or jaw on the floor
Yeah.
stuff. But you
And I,
do sometimes have to sit through an incredibly mind numbing story in order to get to that weird stuff. And sometimes I'm in the mood for that because the
yeah.
story is somewhat interesting. And other times I'm like, this story can go eat Homelander's pubic hair. Like I don't want it. Dude, I had to
Yeah. I
work it
mean,
back in.
I, I think sometimes that's why they're good too, because
Yeah.
they've spent so much time setting up these people and really getting into the meat of who these people are and what the story is about instead of just going for a scare or something.
Right.
Sometimes
Yeah.
like Hereditary, for example. It's A24, right?
Yeah.
Um, that's scary all the way through. It's unsettling or problematic the whole way through.
Yeah.
But
But then you get like Beau is Afraid and it's just
that's
weird.
just unsettling the entire, like uncomfortable the whole way through
Dude,
and weird.
I wanna. Part of me does want to rewatch Beau is Afraid, and part of me never, ever, ever
hmm
wants to watch that movie again. Never.
My son wanted to watch it, so we started watching it. And it's like 3 hours long, right?
Yeah.
And we got about an hour into it, and he's like, "Okay, that's all I can do right now." So
Yeah.
we've been trying to like watch it in like little pieces, but because it's heavy and sad and weird and all the things.
I still do not understand the ending of that movie.
Hmm.
I think I need someone way smarter than me to explain what happened at the end of that movie.
I think it's supposed to. I think it was symbolizing cyclical nature of things because it starts out and water is a big deal in this movie. So it starts out with him being born, coming out of the darkness and the water and coming out, and it ends with him going back into this cave, this long cave, a dark cave, and inside water, but he's being judged. And so it's like the judgment of everybody and his entire life, and then his mom accusing him, and like everything, it's all the weight of everything in his life is pressing down on him, and his boat snaps like really fast, like out of the blue,
Mm-hmm.
just like flips over, and he's dead. And it's like he's going back into this womb, but it's like a dark, angry, depressing thing. And then it's like if you go stop if you take it from that spot and start it right at the beginning again, it's like the circular thing, and which is depressing in a different way.
Yeah.
There's nothing about that
Yep.
movie that is not depressing, to be honest. It's all about
Yeah.
how sad and dark and horrible this life can be. It's very
Dude,
nihilistic.
Ari Aster has got to get his stuff together. That's all I gotta say. Like that dude needs to direct everything and also nothing more.
Absolutely. He
Like,
needs
because his stories are so depressing, so traumatic.
right. I think he's one of
And
those guys that if I'm glad he's making movies, so he's not being a serial killer.
yeah, I wouldn't call. I mean, I don't know.
Guy's got
I would
issues.
like to see what Ari would do if he wasn't a visionary director.
Hmm.
Like,
Like what job he would have.
yeah,
Hmm.
what job could Ari Aster do if he wasn't? And he has
I
nothing to
don't
do with
know.
Hollywood. Like, so it can't be like, oh, I'm just a screenwriter. No, no, no. You got to be like, I'll work at Quiznos.
I think he would be an accountant who killed people on the weekends.
That's terrifying. Okay. Hey, and what is he just taking their refunds? And then is that the deal?
He's not concerned about the refunds. He's a really really good accountant. He's like very particular and very meticulous. But there are some people he's like they're done. Gonna cut their skin off slowly in strips, or
Oh my gosh, Steve!
or
I
you know
love
I'm
that.
gonna.
I made you uncomfortable talking about Homelander's pubic hair, but you just spit that out now.
It's
I'm
a
not
horror
supposed to
podcast.
immediately recoil in terror. Like, oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
he has a collection of toenails that he's torn out of people, and he has like
Oh, oh my
different jars
gosh.
for first toenails, and then he lets them recover and grow back until he keeps them alive in his basement, and he tears them out again once they grow long enough, you know. And so he has the jar for the second tearing, and then so forth, and he sees how far he can get before the person dies. You don't think that's what would happen? You don't think that's it?
I don't know what to
Or
say
maybe
now.
he collects noses. Hmm.
How is toenails worse? I think toenails, that's the worst part. That's the worst one. That's on par. Like, that's the same reaction I feel inside about what you just said is the same reaction of that scene in Don't Breathe, where he's
Oh,
going to
the
artificially
baster.
inseminate that.
Ah,
Yep.
oh, that's
It's so
uncomfortable.
like I want to leave this podcast and I want to go shower now. But just but like what is it? Is it it's Jim Carrey shower? That's exactly what I want to do. Like Ace Ventura shower. Like I want to put the plunger on my face. I just want to sit and burn my clothes maybe. Like I want to just sit in the shower and just let the water and just
Well,
cry.
I was kind of channeling the movie. Have you seen the movie Hitman yet on Netflix?
No.
Recently
And
came
if
out.
it
Okay,
has anything to do with pulling toenails off
it does
and
not.
growing them, I never want to see that.
And so this is not really giving anything away at all. But like the premise of the movie is that the guy is pretending to be a hitman, and he's helping like the CIA or the FBI or whatever, at by posing as a hitman to catch people who are trying to hire hitmen. And the first he goes to the first time he goes in to pretend he's actually like a tech guy who's like helping with the recording and stuff, and their person who's going to be the fake hitman got banned from the force because he like beat up a bunch of kids or something. So they're like, get in there, Dave, or whatever his name is. Get in there, and he's like, what? Like, pretend to be hitman. He's like, ah. So he goes in there, and he immediately turns it on, and he's talking about how he likes to cut their fingers off and drive down the road, and he tosses them out of like everyone every 5 miles of a finger out at the window so they can't track the body, and like all this really bizarre, gross stuff just out of the blue. And the people on the like listening in the truck, they're like, "What the heck? Is
Okay.
this guy
I may
okay?"
have to watch this movie. I
It's
may have
it's
to
it's a
watch it.
it's a good movie. It's actually kind of a sort of a rom com, but it's fun. It's a good movie.
Okay. Uh, Speaking of A24,
Mm-hmm.
I I bought something and I
No.
have to show you. Okay.
Yes,
I'm
I
real
want to see.
I'm really excited about it.
Okay.
So I think I found my new favorite movie. I've been
Really?
telling other people to watch this movie because it's my new favorite movie. I don't
Bo's
know
afraid.
that any huh?
Bo's afraid.
No, that's
Oh.
gross. I don't want to. There's a freaking gigantic penis in that movie, and I don't know. Just Dude, what the? And it's his father apparently, and I don't really
His
know.
dad's a dick.
Listen, I understand the metaphor that they're going for. I get it. But I want to interview someone in set design because that was a practical effect. That was not a CG effect.
Right.
And so that means that somebody, multiple people probably, were working to construct this phallus.
Person-sized penis.
It wasn't a person. That wasn't a person size, dude. It filled the whole attic. It filled the room. It filled the room.
I thought it was a guy, like a guy
And
in a suit. Is it not a guy in a suit?
that's even more disturbing because that means that there was an actual person inside this gigantic costume. And if you're listening, we need you to be on this podcast because we have questions. And my main question is just why and how, just how, and maybe then also what,
Just
and
so you
just
know,
what the. That's another question. Just what the.
you can buy an inflatable Willy penis costume
Steve,
on
this
Amazon for
is.
$23.
I'm not going to do that.
I know what you're going to get for Christmas.
If you buy me an inflatable Willy, not only will that be one of the funniest gifts I've ever received, I'm not too sure that my wife will let us hang out anymore. Oh, good Lord. Steve is currently showing. Oh my gosh. Steve is currently showing me wieners on the internet. What is that, dude?
So
what
large.
Is that? That's unnecessary. This AI generated lady right there. Oh my
see,
gosh.
now I'm going to
dude.
get these recommendations on.
Yeah, dude. You did it to yourself. What's that bachelorette inflatable? Oh my gosh, dude. That's too much. Anywho.
Sorry. You were not talking about that at all. And so your favorite movie
Not
you've been
even a
telling
little
everybody
bit
to
was I
see.
talking about that. Good night.
My apologies.
Okay, you ready? I bought from A24 a Marcel the Shell with shoes on.
Marcel. Oh, isn't that the best movie?
It's the best movie we as a human race have ever made.
1,000% yes.
So
it's the most wholesome thing.
Yes, it comes in a little box that is a matchbox.
Like his house.
Yeah, that is his house. I sent you some pictures if you want to pull those up. Okay. It comes with a little instruction card.
Aww.
So, yeah, it says instructions for care. First, you'll need to scout out a spot for your home or in your home for Marcel to get settled. We recommend putting him somewhere with plenty of sunlight and fresh air, or in a place of honor, such as right on the mantle where he can see or where he can have a view of the whole rug. That's a movie reference.
Right.
Or on a decorative end table next to a cherished photo of people you love/loved. Twice a week, mist Marcel as you would a plant. This is not strictly required or even necessary, but who doesn't love a good cool splash of, or a splash of cool water? It's refreshing. We weren't sure what to pack for him. That's up to you. Inside, you'll find compartments for a long, thin object like a match, cotton swab, or a pet lint. Movie references.
Yeah.
A large circular object like a nickel in case of emergency. A small cylindrical object like a popcorn kernel or a single raisin. I don't know why they didn't put craisin down. Craisin would have been better because they talk about craisins in the. When you are finished reading these instructions, you may discard them or fold them in half to create a little roof.
Oh,
yes, a little roof for Marcel. Because what if it rains?
That's
So
adorable.
yes, it is. It was too much money. Okay, but 100% worth it because I have now with me always Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I've been
No.
recommending that people watch this movie because, man, it's such
So
a good
good.
movie.
I
Such
mean,
a good
it's
movie.
what, yeah, especially good for, it's a good balance movie for watching. I mean, that movie, one viewing of that movie balances out the entirety of the Terrifier franchise. You know, it's
I
like,
wouldn't go that
that's how
far.
wholesome it is.
I would say it balances out the horrific parts of Midsommar and Hereditary. Like it balances the A24 scale. Let's not
Yeah,
go
okay,
into
yeah.
any Damien. No, that's
Yeah,
freaking
okay.
gross. I don't think 1,000 Marcels could take that one on. It's freaking gross.
Well, yeah.
So, but one of my favorite, dude, this movie is so funny. So they get that email that was like peace and love, or like, and he's like, no, war. Like he has that line where he's like, no, I love war. I would, why peace? Like he's being sarcastic. It's so funny.
I need to watch
Ah,
it again. It's
man.
been too long.
It's so good. You need to rewatch it. It's on Netflix right now. I may rewatch it just because it is my favorite movie. It's
So
my
good.
favorite. I need to update my letterbox and like take out one of
Well,
those movies and put
and
down.
apparently there's a bunch of like YouTube shorts that's of him. That's where this
I
came
need
from. It
I
was a
need to
big
watch
YouTube
this.
phenomena, I guess.
But
Phenomenon.
that would make sense because they did put like did A24 actually put those videos on YouTube then?
No, I think this guy came to AT. So I'm not sure how. Like, sometimes A24 just finances a thing and distributes it, and sometimes they just distribute it, and somebody else made the thing. Or so I'm not sure how this came to be exactly, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, however it got made, I'm thankful that we did it. I'm thankful that humanity did it. Somebody wrote this. And it was the guy in it, right? Like the guy who was doing the documentary is actually like the director.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. This is it's the best movie. It's heartwarming. It is funny. It
Hmm.
is sad. It is man, it's so
Hmm.
good.
It's really good.
I can't go on about it enough. Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
So yeah. But yeah, I watched enough horror this week that I was like, I need to balance out the scales. So let's
Yeah, totally.
Marcel looks fun. Let's watch Marcel. And little did I know how my life would literally change because of this tiny little show.
Yeah, tiny little Cyclops shell.
Yeah. And then as soon as I found it online, like, cause I immediately went to like Redbubble. I was like, all right, let me see if I can get some stickers, right? And get some
Right.
stickers of Marcel. And then I was like, in the midst of Googling, I saw that on A24's website. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, dude, buy it right now.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
immediately bought it. I forget the stickers. I want the actual Marcel.
Good
So
stuff.
yeah,
Oh, glad you found that.
yeah.
It's a good
You
movie. It's a good movie.
contrast that to The Lobster, which is that may be one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
Did you make it to the end?
Nope.
How far did you get?
That's a good question. I partially blocked it out of my mind.
Did
Okay,
he
so
escape yet?
he escapes and he goes to the woods or is captured by
Mm-hmm.
somebody and they go to the woods and they're basically I think it was just the introduction then. So like he goes before some authority figure in
Mm-hmm.
the woods, I guess,
Right.
and they give him the instructions. They're like, "Hey, here's what to do basically to survive here. Don't do
Right.
this. You can do that. Blah blah blah. Whatever." And then, but I was so mind-numbingly bored with the story. I thought about being violent against the director. The director actually, he is the same director as Poor Things.
Right.
I will
Yorgos
never see that
Lanthimos.
movie.
Poor Things
I
is completely different.
I will never see anything from this director. Never.
Fair.
He could. I don't care what he makes. I don't care.
Well, he made your favorite movie, Killing of a Sacred Deer.
That's not my favorite movie. That's the weirdest. That's the second weirdest movie. I thought that was the weirdest movie. I thought that was the
It's
weirdest movie.
it's the least weird movie that he has. No, Poor Things may be less weird, actually.
I don't know. All I know,
No, it's
I didn't see, and also, I got through like 3/4 of this movie and didn't see anybody get changed into an animal. What? What? That lady got drugged to the chamber where they do that, but did they
mhm.
show it? No. What? What? The whole purpose of this movie is like, the whole plot is like, you need to find love, apparently. Like, you need to find, it starts off with the dude getting divorced. Like, he gets divorced, and that's what thrusts him into this.
Because society has a
Anyway,
law that you have to comply and be like everybody else and get married.
so you got to get married. Fine. Whatever.
And if you don't have
But
kids, you will have one assigned to you.
right? And the fact that he kicked that little girl was the funniest thing. That was the funniest thing to me. It made the movie a little bit better
Okay.
because it was unnecessary aggression.
Yeah.
It was literally unnecessary aggression. She was just like trying to be nice. Hey, what's up? My name is blah blah blah, and he's like, "Get away from me!" He freaking full-fledged kicks her in the shins, like, and then he tells, like, serves you right for coming up to me. Like, what is this? What is happening? Yeah, but
Can I spoil
I
the
don't
ending
know.
for you?
Dude, does he get turned into a lobster? Please tell me that Colin
No.
Farrell gets turned into a lobster. The whole movie is
No.
called A Lobster, and we don't get to see him get turned into a lobster.
So they escaped. He escaped, right? And
Yeah, he escaped from the hotel.
right, and he's with the folks in the woods.
Yeah,
And then he he has this sort of friendship relationship with what's her name from the
Rachel, right?
Rachel
Rachel
Weisz.
Weisz or
Yeah,
Weisz.
Weisz.
Yeah.
Weisz or Weisz. But she's blind,
Oh,
right?
okay.
She becomes
I don't
blind.
know. I didn't meet Rachel the
She's
whole movie.
she's blind. Oh, really? Okay.
I did not see
Well,
her once.
she's in the woods and she's blind, and they start up this friendship, and they want to they're actually literally falling in love, and but the folks in the forest don't believe, like, that's not okay. Like, you get kicked out
Yep.
of the forest, folks, if you it's like so opposite.
Right.
And so then they escape, and they start realizing that they don't have anything between the two of them that is common. And if you go and you say we're a couple, they will test you to see if you have common interests or whatever. And if you don't pass, then you have to go back to the hotel and go through all the crap again.
Right.
And so they're like, but we love each other, and but we don't have anything in common that we would see. So the one thing that they have he's like, if we were both blind, we'd have something in common. And she's like, I guess. And so they're at this restaurant, and he gets a knife and he goes to the bathroom to make himself blind. And he goes to the bathroom, and that's the end of the movie. You don't know what he does. Does he gouge his eyes out? Because he's planning on gouging his eyes out so they can stay together. But we don't know if he did that or not.
Worst movie ever made. That's the worst movie ever made, Steve.
It's
And there
really
are some
weird.
real stinkers out there. I mean, just some real stinkers. We're probably going to talk about one today.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I don't doubt that the movie that I assigned you is a real hot turd. And it's better than The Lobster. I will say, I'm going to go out on that limb. I'll
What
die
else
on
did you
that
watch?
hill. I'll die on that hill. Motel Hell is significantly better than The Lobster.
What else did
I
you watch
watched
since we've recorded last?
1922, which is the movie you assigned me.
Right.
Motel Hell, which I had not seen before, and that's how I know it's bad. I finished watching the movie Tarot.
Yeah.
Um, I watched enough of The Lobster to say that I've watched The Lobster.
Okay.
Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, best movie ever. Jennifer's Body, uh, which is also not that
You've
great.
not seen that before?
I've never seen that. Nope.
Oh, okay.
I just now watched it. Life After Beth.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
It is not getting the credit that it deserves. The ratings for this movie are like not great. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say this movie it's hilarious. It is completely ridiculous. I loved this movie.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I watched Bone Tomahawk.
I've heard about that, and I have avoided it.
This
Should I
movie,
avoid it?
no, you should
Really?
watch this movie. It
Okay.
is, it is a Western, is what it is.
Okay.
And the majority of this movie is not horrific. It's very Western. It's not bad. One might say Western is like the only genre of like the white hat and the black hat. Like that's
Yeah.
come on. That's every movie, the antagonist, the protagonist. Like that's every movie. I saw the TV Globe. I watched that one.
Oh, I've been wanting to watch that.
I don't know what I watched. That's my review of this
It's
movie.
kind of what I've heard.
I got to the end of this movie and went, "What?" Like I got to the last scene, and just before the credits started rolling, I went, "They're gonna end this stupid movie, and I'm gonna be really pissed about it." And sure enough, the freaking credits rolled, and I was like, "You got to be freaking kidding me! You got to be kidding me!" And then I watched the movie Fantasy Island, which is not necessarily bad. It's a Blumhouse movie. It's not necessarily bad, but it's also not great.
Blumhouse is kind of hit or miss.
It was, well, yeah. I mean, every movie studio has their misses.
Sure.
But this is a horror take on the like the 60s or 70s TV show.
Right.
So, which is fine.
Oh, I didn't realize it was horror, actually.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't entirely call the movie a horror movie, but it's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It wasn't bad. You don't need to have seen the show at all.
Oh, okay.
I
remember enjoying that show as a kid and never quite understanding it because it had so much. It also often had to do with like some adult angst or something that kids didn't get.
Yeah.
Or some relationships or whatever. But I like the fantasy aspects of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. It wasn't the greatest movie, but it's better than The Lobster. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
It's better than The Lobster. I would also say you should watch I Saw the TV Glow. That was
I'd like to see that.
It's a bizarre movie. It's a strange movie. I do feel like it strikes me as the kind of movie that you may need to watch a couple of times in order to fully grab on to what the heck is going on. Which is not bad. It's not a bad movie, but yeah, I had a mixed bag of nuts this time around. 10 movies was a lot of movies, so
yeah, it's a lot of
I
movies.
started other movies that I'm not going to mention because they're not like I just immediately got like Saint Maud. I started that movie. I haven't finished it. I got like a couple of minutes in. I started watching a Black Swan,
Okay.
but I haven't really finished it because I kind of lost interest. And so like there's a
That
bunch of
one's
movies
good. It's just a little bit slow. Yeah.
that are like that I started to watch, got bored, and was like, no, I'm out. So I'll pick them up
Yeah, there's
later.
a lot of the newer horror stuff that's out there. Is it's just it's slow burn stuff is becoming more common. Like the real like the slow setup and the kind of like getting you settled into the thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's more of a common thing for sure.
Yeah. So what did you see this week?
Did I mention The Handmaiden yet? I think I did. Yes, I did last time. Okay, so I saw Sissy, Sissy,
Okay.
on Shutter, and I loved that movie, dude. It was funny.
Sissy.
It was it was it starts out funny and lighthearted, and you think it's going to be like a movie about like girls on their bachelorette weekend thing, and it takes turns that you didn't expect. And I liked it so much, I showed it to Christy, and she actually really liked it a lot. So it's not super scary because Christy doesn't handle the super scary very well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good, and there's a couple gory bits. But and then Christy and I watched The Nightingale. I've seen it before, but it's really really good. It was also on Shutter, I think. But if you've seen The Nightingale,
I don't think so.
it's one that I would barely class as a horror movie. It's more a movie with horrors in it because it's kind of a historical fiction movie about the Irish people who were kind of pulled into sort of indentured servanthood on the island of Tasmania, south of Australia, in like the 1800s. And this woman's life is just it's horrible. And she befriends this Aboriginal guy, and the what it shows as far as the relationship between the Aboriginal people and the white folks who show up there makes just had to be a white dude. It's really good, but it's heavy. It is heavy, but good. And then I saw The House of the Devil, which was pretty good. I thought it's one of these movies made in 2009, but it has the vibes of a late 70s, early 80s slasher. It takes place in that time, but it's not a slasher. I mean, well, I guess just a movie from that time. It's really good. And I saw The Hitman,
The House of the
as I
Devil is
mentioned.
on. That's Ty West, right?
Uh, yes.
That's on Shutter. Okay.
Uh huh.
I'm adding these movies to my watch
Yeah.
list so I can.
I think you'd like House of the Devil. Hitman, and I like I said, I saw Sissy again with Chrissy. Motel Hell. I saw one another. I was on a Shutter kick. I saw one called Sorry About the Demon, and that's kind of a comedy horror thing. It was pretty good. And then The Deeper You Dig was really creepy and good. I give it 4.5 stars. The movie The Deeper You Dig and Hellbender, and there's another one that these folks have made called something with the devil. I forget. I'll look it up later. But this family, it's a husband and wife and their 2 daughters. One of them is behind the camera all the time, but one of them like acts in the movies. They make really really good horror movies, and they've made like 3 or 4 of them. And they're all in the subgenre of folk horror. Like stuff happening in the woods and like old gods and stuff like that. And they're really really good stuff. Really good stuff. And then I saw Predestination, which I was really looking forward to because I've heard good things about it, but it did not go over well with me. Especially
So like Christian horror then.
No. It's about a guy who it's taken from a movie. A short story by Robert Heinlein, who wrote a bunch of like sci-fi way back in like this movie. The story was written in 1959, and it's about a person who time travels, and they go back in time. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but well, we have spoilers on here, right?
That's the point. Yeah, that's the point of
Right.
the show. You just talk
This
about
person
it.
goes back in time and has sex with this person is an intersex person. They don't realize that, but they're born and they lived life as a woman, and then things she gets pregnant, and then there were problems, and they had to give her a hysterectomy, and they went ahead and, without her knowledge, changed her into a man because they like, you got both parts down here, lady, and they changed, so they transitioned her to a man basically, and without her choice. And she goes back in time and ends up having sex with herself to give birth to herself or themself. And then they are in a fire, and they become reconstructed like through plastic surgery to reconstruct themselves into another person. So like every person, turns out every single person in this movie is basically the same person, but you have like 3 different characters or 4 different characters. But
What is this movie called?
Predestination.
That's what okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, I like timey-wimey movies, and I like time travel and stuff. This was just too much, and it did not apparently does not read well for people who are actually trans. Like, this is not cool. And then a couple nights ago, I ruined my family by watching Midsummer with them because on Father's Day, my wife said, "You may pick a movie to watch. We will watch it," because we've been avoiding watching scary movies. And I said Midsummer, and she said no. And my kids are like, "Oh, let's watch Midsummer." They really want to watch it. And then halfway through the movie, my son said, "Why was anybody allowed to make this movie? This is so dark.
Yep.
This is messed up."
That's a normal person's reaction to that movie.
Yes. And my wife looked at me afterwards, and she said, like with a really concerned look on her face, and she said, why is this one of your favorite movies?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know. So
yeah,
that was
the hardest part about that movie is the wailing. Like,
yes,
everything else in this movie, the cliff jump, the human sacrifice, like none of that to me, like everything pales in comparison to when she loses her sister and is just wailing.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
that is
hard.
Not Forrest. Florence did such a great job conveying that emotion that it's visceral.
It makes you feel it.
Feel it. I can feel it right now. Like,
yeah,
everything else is it pales in comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the most horrific part of the movie is her wailing over.
Yeah. Well, the beginning with the family dying, that whole section, it's weird to have a movie start out with the worst thing at the very beginning,
I would say that's not the worst thing of the movie.
I mean, like one of the most emotionally charged parts, I guess I should say.
You're right. It is a very emotionally, but I mean, the whole movie is this emotional roller coaster that does not let up from the very open scene. Yeah.
Yep. Last one, Kill List, which has been highly recommended for me from lots of people. It's about some, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's about these hitmen who kind of want to get back in the business because they need money, and their last job does not go well, and they encounter like a cult in the woods sort of thing,
Okay. Kill List.
It's a slow burn one too. It's kind of it took a while to get through it, to be honest, but it's good. Sorry, you were saying?
I just watched a movie today. It was
Yeah.
a short film. It's called Pizza Panic Party. It's
Okay.
by a studio or short film maker called Gorgasm. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Gorgazma or Gorgasma.
Okay.
Gorgasma. Yeah. Sorry, I missaid their name. I loved this movie so much that I put it up on our Instagram. Like I was like, I'm gonna speak for our podcast. This is a fantastic short film.
Okay.
The whole premise of this is there are these girls in their bedroom having an 80s pizza party because
Right.
it's the 80s and why not have a pizza party?
Right. That's what you do. Yeah.
Come on. And one girl goes to get pizza or comes back with pizza from this brand new pizzeria in town. And there's the movie. That's havoc ensues from there. And
Okay.
it is, it's 9.5 minutes. You need to watch it. It's on our, you can
Okay.
go on
Yeah.
our Instagram.
Definitely.
By this point, it will be off our Instagram. But as of the recording, I linked it. I literally was like, people need to watch this.
Okay.
Yeah, it's it's so good. I thought so. I thought this movie was fantastic. It's better than The Lobster, but everything is better than The Lobster. That movie sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw it come up I was scrolling on Instagram the other day and I saw somebody that we follow, I forget who they were, posted something about this movie, the short film. And I was like, what the heck is this? What? So I've been wanting to get into watching short horror films on YouTube for a long time. And I've seen a couple.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And, sure enough, I watched this one. It was great. It was fantastic.
Cool. I'll watch it.
You need to watch it right now. Let's just pause the podcast while you watch this for 9.5 minutes. Just live reaction to this.
Maybe later.
Yeah. You should get your family to watch this. It'll take away Midsommar real quick. Okay. It's just because it's so outlandishly itself. It's fantastic. Anyway.
Yeah, we had to watch a couple episodes of Ted Lasso to kind of take the curse off Midsommar.
Yeah. I fully get the Ted Lasso. I'll do it. Ted Lasso is fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, bud. You are up first for the movies.
We're moving on to the movies we saw.
Yeah, we made
and watched. Here we go. I watched a movie called Motel Hell. And it was not good.
Yeah, this one was bad. That's on me. That's fully on me.
So I there was so much about this movie. I'm just gonna kind of stream of consciousness this one because I was when I was watching it, I had a hard time doing anything else because I was so focused on making myself watch it. like all my concentration's like, ugh. So
that is a perfect way to say this.
The general premise is there's this motel on a back road, I guess, and this old dude and his sister, it looks like they sabotage people as they go by and make them wreck or something, and then they give them drugs and make them pass out, and they dig a big long vertical hole in their garden and plant them in their garden and put like burlap sacks over their heads. So when you first see this, you don't see the whole process. You just see like these people's heads sticking out of the ground, like they're growing heads or something. And then like one of the heads screams or tries to scream, but for every one of these people, they've cut out their vocal cords. It looks like they don't really say what they've done, but so that's the vibe you get because none of them can talk. They can just like kind of like sound like zombies. But anyway, and you find out what's going on is that this guy has really world famous barbecue.
Yeah.
Everybody comes from miles around to get his barbecue, and they love it. And everybody just doesn't realize they're eating people or people mixed with pork, possibly. Whew. And so it kind of follows this gal who inexplicably is allowed to stay there for a while with them. Something, I guess, because she's pretty. I don't know. So she's staying with them, and she kind of develops this relationship with them. She falls in love with the guy who's like her grandpa, for goodness sakes. And he at one point, and there's this lake out back that's clearly like a retention pond that it's like, it looks like it's probably meant to be one of the ponds of like a wastewater treatment plant or something. And it's just it's like big enough to maybe like have a small boat that kind of goes in circles. And they keep going to this pond thing and riding boats around. And there's a cop that's falling in love with this gal. And the sister just wants to kill her. And she tries to drown her. And then, so she tries to drown this woman. And the old brother helps, like pulls her out. And she's like, she was literally almost killed. And now, like 10 minutes later, they're like buddy buddy. And then, what's the heck? That doesn't make any sense. And so, and then they keep. The guy who plays Cliff from in Cheers, John Krasinski, not John Krasinski. Whatever's he's like the voice in everybody. He is in every single one of the Pixar movies. What's his name? Yeah, Mr. Potato Head. That guy. He's in it as just a guy who gets planted. But I just this movie. Oh, and then she tries to come onto the guy, and like takes her top off, and like goes after him, but he's like, no, we gotta get married first. So they get married, and then there's a guy who puts a pig head on his head. I can't. It's like a fever dream, Zach. I can't even put into words how this movie worked. How does it even make sense? Yeah. Nothing about this movie made sense, and the acting was so bad.
My favorite part of this. My favorite part of this.
Don't do that to me.
So it's like right at the beginning. It's like the first customers that come up. They get to meet. They have like these twin girls or whatever, and they look way too old to actually have daughters that age. I'm like, they got to be grandparents. There's no way. And
whoever did the casting for this does not understand.
Or just people aged so horribly back then that I don't know, dude. But they're screaming because they go inside the the slaughterhouse, right? And they scream. They're coming out. Right. They're screaming. And they get in the car. And the owner is like, I'll get him to stop screaming. And he's like, run. That's not the way that you get girls. That's not the way that you get children to stop screaming. It's to be super scary and scream in their face. That's not it. But in this universe, that's exactly how it was. My favorite part. It made me laugh out loud about how stupid and ridiculous this was. And I literally said in the midst of pausing the movie, I went, if this movie is half as good as what I just saw, we'll be fine. I feel like that was the pinnacle. That was the pinnacle of just, and how you described it could not have been better. That was a perfect way to describe this movie.
It's just like a soup of things that happened and none of it made sense. There was no plot really. It's just
Yeah.
like it's like they said, hey, what would be funny if this would happen, or
Yep.
this would be maybe scary, or and it's like, and they just strung it together. Well, you know how movies, when they make a movie, they never film it chronologically, hardly ever, because of with logistics. This was like they filmed it in a random order because of logistics, and they just kept it in that order. Almost.
It makes if you've seen this movie, what you just said makes complete sense. If you've not seen this movie, you need to, and then come back and listen to Steve's review, and you will understand. Yeah.
Yeah, so dude, a smoking hot turd for sure. For sure. And it was, what was it, 1980? Yeah.
I mean, this movie is just real bad. I didn't know. This was one of those movies that I put on my Halloween list, and I'm going to watch it in Halloween. I'm going to put it on during the month of October. I'm going to watch movies, and this was going to be one of those movies. But I had never seen any of the, like, there were like 200 movies on this list that I had. And it reminded me of all of the bad movies that I watched this past October. And just, I mean, how did this movie get made? Oh my gosh.
All I can think is that in 1980, the standards for horror was really, really low. There's so many movies in the 80s are like that in my mind for horror, because I think what happened is things like Halloween and Friday the 13th took off, and they were like, we're going to capitalize on this. Anything that's vaguely scary or horror-like, and as long as you got at least one shot of boobs, then you're good. And then we're going to make money. And they just churned them out.
Yeah.
That's all I can figure.
Smoking hot turd, huh?
Ah, boy. So on one hand, I like you way less for making me watch that. On the other hand, it's good to kind of round things out once, expand my horizons, even though that, I would have been better off literally watching a smoking hot turd. It's cool in the shade.
Just laying a piece of poop on fire. That's the actual what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, that'd been more fun. Yeah.
I think that people should watch this movie. I'm not going to lie to you. I would recommend.
I don't say more fun.
More enriching. Yeah. I'd like to test that out. I'd like for you to test that out.
I grew up on a farm. I've seen lots of smoking hot turds.
So you mean to tell me
cooling in the shade
that as a child, little boy Stevie,
you little Stevie
would light poop on fire? I can't even get through it with a straight face.
No, it's when well, of course. I mean, poop burns really well. It's good fire starter. If it's dried, like a dried cow patty, great fire starter. I mean, you don't want to smell it, but I mean, if it's just comes out of the cow immediately, it's going to be steaming hot. I mean, not smoking hot, but they drop it in the shade. It's steaming. You can see the steam, and then it cools. So I've seen lots of poop, steaming hot poop cooling in the shade.
I want you to know that this is
I'm losing
why
you,
I started this
clearly.
podcast. This is why I wanted to start this with you. It's for stories like this.
I got more.
I don't want to do anything else for the rest of the day. I want to cancel the rest of my day. I want to know. I won't get to know.
Horse poops are really good, especially for fire starters, because it's like little nuggets, about the size of a golf ball. Then you can you don't have to have a whole patty. Just one.
I was in Boy Scouts, and they never were like, "Hey, scat. If you just got some scat, some dried scat, you just light that on fire."
Yeah.
Never.
Now, dinosaur poop is not a good fire starter because it's rock by now. It's coprolite. What do they call it? It's just a dinosaur poop rock. There's a lot of it out there, though. I should stop talking about poop.
I couldn't talk about pubic hairs, and now you're just
moving on.
Absolutely incredible.
Dude, everybody poops.
We all have
everybody
pubic hair,
poops.
Steve. Jeez. This conversation's really gotten away from us here. We went from talking about just the hypothetical smoking hot turds to actual steaming piles of cow poop in the shade.
And horse.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing with us.
Let's move on.
You watched Mr. Ed's.
Another movie that is
Mr. Ed's Poo-Poo. Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
it brings new meaning to that show now.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, well, no.
What are
you rating this movie?
Half a star, buddy.
Okay.
Just half a star. I thought about 1 star, but they were on that pond way too much. And nothing made sense.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, I did forget to mention it at the end of the movie. The dudes in the ground do dig themselves out, right? And they attacked the lady. At least did everybody die? I forget.
I partially blocked this movie out of my memory. It was bad. Having said that, you should watch it. People should watch it.
Totally, yeah, 100%.
I mean, The Lobster was way worse. Dude, I'm just going to keep bringing it up. It's my thing now. I'm going to get a t-shirt made.
Just The Lobster was way worse.
Whatever you're going through, The Lobster was way worse.
That's all it says. See, that's why some of these movies exist, to help you realize that it could be worse.
Well, I wish only bad things on everybody involved in that movie. Only bad things. Don't look at me like that after you get done talking about freaking actual turds on fire. Don't freaking judgment over here, dude. Okay. Anyway, there's some judgment.
No judgment.
Okay.
No judgment.
1922. From the prolific Stephen King. Yeah. This is one of his book adaptation movies from 2017. It has strikingly, like, the critics are all for this movie. 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, certified fresh. Yeah. 57% upturned popcorn bucket on Rotten Tomatoes. Yep.
Really?
2.8. I mean, which is technically above average, but barely. I feel like a lot of people really did not. They were just middle of the road, I guess. 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb. Synopsis: a young woman. No, I didn't change that. I almost said it follows. A young woman is followed by an unknown supernatural force after a sexual encounter. That is from the last movie that I did not change. Okay, fantastic. Familiar. I don't know what the synopsis of this movie is. A bunch of farmers do some things and chaos. Duh. So, 1922 follows Wilfred James, a farmer just outside of Omaha, his wife, Arlette, and their son, Henry. This movie actually is an incredibly heart-wrenching story. I thought it was more heart-wrenching than horrifying. Like, there are obviously horror aspects to this, but I wouldn't overly classify this movie as a horror. I just thought it was a good story.
So it's not a horror. It's got like ghosts.
I mean, it does.
And
like
rats.
It's got rats like you wouldn't believe. But like, I've never seen so many rats in. I want to know what the budget was for rats in this movie, because there was so freaking many rats. So here is the basic gist of the movie. Wilfred, Arlette, and Henry live on a 180-acre 180 acres of farmland. Arlette, I believe she owns the land. She inherited the land from her dad,
She
or
inherited
something
it,
like that.
yes.
And Wilfred and Henry work the land. Arlette wants to move to Omaha, sell the property to some other farmers who are going to, they're basically just kind of taking over some small farms and whatnot. And she wants to
Yeah.
sell the land, move to Omaha, and open up a clothing boutique. Wilfred thinks that that will basically turn everyone into sissies because moving into the city is the worst abomination that you could do. It's going to turn
Yep.
everybody into sissies. I wrote down, Wilfred thinks that this will turn everyone into sissies because toxic masculinity and also 1922. Man, like it's just, he's just an old
Mm-hmm.
man, you know?
Which is his deal with his wife's farm,
It's
because it's his
technical. Yeah.
wife's farm, which is
Yeah. I
emasculating
didn't
for
take it
him.
from that angle. I just thought
Yeah.
this is what he knows. And it's 1922. They,
That's part of it, yeah.
cities are booming and they're growing and there's more opportunity and
Mm-hmm.
capitalism, like all of that stuff. Also, I also understand her motivation for wanting to go to Omaha. She basically does freaking nothing. Like by this point, she's bored.
Right.
So, you know, he's not bored because he gets to go work the farmland and that's all he's ever known. And she is, you know, a 1922 housewife who only basically just cooks and cleans the house. And so she's like, I'm going to go make something of my life. I mean, the way that she necessarily goes about that is not great. This is an incredible movie about human pride. I mean, and how stubborn we can be because at the end of this movie, I think the movie basically starts with Wilfred in Omaha and he goes into his apartment or whatever. And he's
Yeah.
basically writing down his confession. This is what happened. And he says, like at the very end of the movie, that
Right.
Henry was right. There was another way of going about all of this. Because it kind of
Mm-hmm.
flashes back to a very happy moment with everybody on the porch drinking lemonade and just being a happy family.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why this is an incredible. I think that this is a great story. So the couple fight over what to do. Both of them are basically set in their ways. One day, Wilfred. It's not one day. Over the course of several days, Wilfred basically convinces Henry that the only way that they're ever going to stay on this land is to get rid of Arlette.
Right.
Because
Kill the mom.
he's basically like, she's already convinced that this is good for us. But if you move to Omaha, you're going to be this complete wuss. And he also then goes,
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be away from your girlfriend. Like, do you want to be away from your girlfriend? Yeah. And he's like, no. So then you guys stay here. You got to help me fight for this land. And it's not great. Not great what he does. She kind of also tries to get at Henry, but she takes a very different route, and Wilfred is incredibly more convincing as far as Henry is concerned. Mm-hmm. So one day Wilfred agrees to his wife's plans, and she is ecstatic about it. She celebrates and basically just gets drunk and basically tells Henry that, like, how he's got to have sex with his girl. Like, it's such a weird, awkward moment, like, because she has no filter, so she's just saying all this stuff, and it's it's funny, but also super cringe. And they take her upstairs and kill her. Wilfred kills her. Henry is completely useless, but he's taking an abstract thought of, we're going to do away with mom, and now it's freaking real, and he doesn't know what to do. Also, they're real bad at killing people.
Yeah.
Like, they throw this sheet over her face and she immediately wakes up from a complete drunken coma. And I'm like, holy crap. And he barely slices into her neck. It's not very deep at all. Like, it's so bad. And then there's so much blood, right? And Henry's point is like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
in this. I'm in this, but it's gonna be quick, right? Like, she's not gonna feel any pain. And the complete opposite happens.
Right. It's like
So
the worst, most
so
worst death ever.
yeah, because they didn't sharpen the knife beforehand. It's the dullest kitchen knife in the drawer. It's basically a butter knife, and so bad. But that turns Henry, like, that completely changes Henry. He's never the same after this, and I would say nobody is. This moment is incredibly pivotal. Wilfred starts to tell everyone that Arlette packed her things and left town, which is a lie because mice are literally eating her whole body in the old well that they had, which is super gross. That's the grossest part of the whole movie, is the mouse crawling backwards out of her mouth. Oh my gosh. I mean, they throw
forgot about that.
they wrap her up in the sheet, throw her in the well, and then Henry's like, so aren't they gonna know? Can't they just freaking look in the well? And Dad's like, oh yeah, we have to make sure that they don't, but we have to have a reason. There has to be a logical reason why we filled in the well. So they get one of the cows, lead it up on top of the well. But
Right.
before they do that, after they throw her down the well, he goes to throw some trash down there or whatever the case is. But he looks a couple days after she's been down there, I think.
Uh-huh.
She's completely unwrapped, just staring up at him with this rotten face. It's so bad. I mean,
Creepy.
yeah, that's the most horrific part of that's where I think the horror kind of stops, or at least is at
Okay.
its peak. Because yeah, her ghost kind of does come back and start whispering in his ear and telling him basically what's happening and all of that stuff. That scene is
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. So basically, Arlette was right, because her murder turns everyone's life completely upside down. Henry completely changes. His girlfriend is noticing. They have sex. She gets pregnant, and Henry, in order to save her from being shipped off to some Catholic girls' boarding school,
Yeah.
he runs away with her. But
Yep.
that, and you find this out in that scene where Arlette comes back from the grave and starts whispering, like, basically slowly chases Wilfred down into the basement, where she whispers in his ear what has gone on with Henry, that he's turned into this, bank robber who's that's his way of making money. In one
Right.
of the bank robberies, his girlfriend, I forget what her name is, Samantha, I don't know what her name is. She gets shot in the stomach. The baby dies. They go off into this. It's the middle of winter in 1922. Like, so the only way to stay warm is a fire. They go off into this abandoned house. While he's out gathering wood and making a fire, she dies. He lays next to her and blows his brains
Mm-hmm.
out, and like, that's the end of Henry and his girlfriend. And you
Mm-hmm.
see, it's such a great, that moment is such a great shot for,
Devastating.
it's so well done because you can feel all of these emotions that Wilfred is feeling. They do a really great job of telling the story. The farmhouse rots like crazy, isn't worth but pennies in comparison to what Arlette was actually going to get. He sells it anyway, moves to Omaha, and like works in a factory, and
Yeah.
slowly goes insane. Slowly goes insane because of the guilt that he feels.
Like rents a room somewhere.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I've said it 1,000 times. This story is fantastic.
Yeah,
Um, it is a bit of a slow burn, but nothing is out of place. There's some slow burn stuff that they could have maybe sped up or cut this out of the story or cut that out of the story. I think that everything is there for a reason. Everything has its place, flows very naturally. It's an incredibly heartbreaking story. 4.2 out of 5. I thought this was
sweet.
fantastic. I thought the story was great. I don't know about the book, but this movie,
Book was fantastic. Really good.
I love.
Like, it's a
I
short
did.
story, but
Oh, is it? Yeah.
yeah.
I would like to read it. I think that this is a great movie. I'm going to give it a 4.2 out of 5. There are probably aspects that maybe could have been better, but I don't.
Yeah,
You know.
it's a good one. There are, in my mind at least, there are famously lots of really bad Stephen King adaptations from books, but this is one of the good ones. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a novella, whatever that means. 129 pages, so it's short novel, and it's part of Full Dark No Stars collection of stories from
Oh,
2017.
okay.
But yeah, sorry, 2010. It came out by it, so you can buy it by itself now as well as a separate like short book. But yeah, and it's pretty dead on to the story in the book actually. And I find that in my opinion, the best Stephen King adaptations into movies are from short stories of his, because the the long ones are hard. It's hard to put into a movie because there's just so much going on.
Right.
And with the short stories, there's obviously less to do. But yeah, I like this one. I like this one a lot. One thing about it was I found super interesting just on a personal level. It takes place in a what is called Hemmingford Home, the city, and which is supposed to be in Hemmingford County, but it's a fictional place. But I was looking on the actual this is Nebraska, by the way. I was looking on in the actual maps, and Hemmingford, there's a Hemmingford, Nebraska. It's kind of in western Nebraska, and it's about 50 miles north of where my dad was born and grew up. So it's like
What?
this. Well, when I was watching this, I'm like, this lady is dressing exactly like my grandma dressed. Her hair's exactly like my grandma's hair, and the dad, his hair's exactly like my granddad's. His clothes are exactly the same. The way they're talking is the same. I'm like, what is going on? So I looked it up. I'm like, well, 1922. My grandparents were born in like 1906, and so I mean, just like I don't know. It had a kind of a closer, like it felt more real-ish to me
Right.
because I could totally see these people being my grandparents, you know,
Wow.
and because they just it's so much like whoever did the set design and the costuming and all that stuff, perfect job. Because it's
Yeah.
exactly like it would have been. Like photos from back then that I see from my family's old photos are dead on to this. But yes, good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It
the
was.
rats at the like when they start coming out of the walls and stuff and near the end. So what happens?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, he is. I think that that's just a. So I think it's based on that particular moment. So
Right.
he throws her in the well and then goes back to throw some more stuff in the well
Mm-hmm.
and finds the rats eating her body, which I don't think he anticipated. So I view the rats coming into the like all along from that point as
As
Arlette's
her.
ghost. Like
Oh,
this
I can see
is the
that.
horror of what he did continuing to follow him in. So they're not real. Like I don't think when he is in Omaha and the rats break through the wall, I don't think that that's real. I think that that's all in his imagination. I think that that's all a figment of his imagination manifesting to show us that this thing still, it's going to follow him till his dying day. And it's going to start off slow because there's only one rat. And then like the next scene where he's writing in, the room is filled with rats. Like it's this
Yeah,
slow build to show what's going
that's
on mentally.
yeah, and that's one of the things I love about Stephen King's stuff is that for this one anyway, it's really about the horrors of humanity. You know, it's not
Yeah.
necessarily like the ghost and all like the like thousands of rats and stuff. They could be fake and not even there. It's just in his mind, but it's tearing him up that he did this.
Yeah.
It destroyed his son's life. It's destroying his life. Nothing's working out. And I was just looking at the Wikipedia page on the book, and I forgot this. It says the story ends with a newspaper clipping about Wilfred's death, stating that he was found with bite marks that appeared to be self-inflicted. This leaves the reader to speculate whether Alfred's account was true or delusional. And his papers are where he was writing his confession. They're found to be illegible and having been chewed to pieces,
Yeah.
probably by him. So it kind of leaves it open. Like, were there rats, or was he just like losing his mind? Probably losing his mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's my interpretation. So we don't see that. The movie ends, like I said, he finishes writing that story, and the movie ends with like a flashback to them on the porch, just being a happy family. And he basically is like, Henry was right. There was another way of doing all of this. Because that murder, him deciding to murder his wife, changed absolutely everything.
Mm-hmm.
And because it didn't just affect their family. Like,
yeah,
it was a major, it was a major Henry plot point that he should not have sex with his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
That was a major Henry. They were concerned that he was not going to keep, like, because even Wilfred says to him in the cornfield the one time, like, your mom's going to she's never going to let you guys see each other.
Yeah.
Because your mom is concerned that you're not going to keep your pecker in your pants. Like, he basically says that too. So, hey, you want to have a life with your girlfriend.
Yeah.
She's got to go. Like, he basically convinced it. And so she was she was the thing keeping that from happening.
Right.
She was the thing kind of keeping them at hey, first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes a baby, and a baby cares. Like, she was that grounding for Henry to keep those urges at bay until, quote unquote, the right time. Right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Then when she was no longer there, he changed into a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
It's not specifically spelled out, but I could very easily imagine that in order to get Henry back, she gave herself up. Maybe if I just sleep with him, he'll come back to me. The real Henry will come back to me. I don't know that.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me. It's not explicitly stated. It's not even hinted at why they had sex.
Yeah.
All that she knows is that she's pregnant, and Henry is already wanting to find his way out. So he has it. They're gonna ship her off, and her dying affects her parents. He's an incredibly prominent landowner, and his wife has left him because he's a shell of a man.
Yeah, it really destroys his family, right?
So this action destroys everything.
So many people. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I think that this story is just so good. It shows the butterfly effect of one little action. It's not little. It's obviously a gigantic action, but yeah, how it completely changes everyone. Yeah. It's a great movie.
Yeah. Stephen King knows how to write them.
Yeah. He's definitely prolific. I mean, not everything. I'm sure that like every major studio. I'm sure that Steven has some.
Oh, he's got some stinkers too.
I'm sure he's got some stinkers. Not every idea is great, but that's the human condition. I'm sure that everything he writes is at least better than The Lobster. Again, dude.
Probably.
I'm gonna keep doing it because that's the worst movie ever made.
I'm just gonna start sending you like lobster stickers and
don't do that. Don't do that.
Actual lobsters.
I like.
I'm gonna DoorDash like a lobster dinner to your house.
I'm fine with that. Lobster's awesome. I'm fine with that. But yeah, okay. Well,
so 4.2, huh?
4.2. I thought it was great.
Nice. Glad you liked it.
Not as good as Marcel, but nothing
no,
else.
No, what? That's like 6 stars.
Dude, that's like 6, and we're gonna add an additional star. Yeah.
Well, what would you like to assign me for next time, Zach? Summer related.
Let's spin the wheel of destiny here. Yeah, it's
Wheel of Destiny.
So, by the way,
not ominous at all.
This is this schedule did not turn out like I thought it was going to, because I was like, oh, every Friday in June will be summer themed, and so there'll be just 8 movies total. But now we're going to bleed into July, so
July is part of the summer as well.
That's the point. We're just going to turn it into a summer thing in general, and not just a July thing. Okay, you're going to get the Wheel of Destiny has spoken. You're going to get the 1992 classic from Hobbit director Peter Jackson. Before he was known for any of the Lord of the Rings stuff.
Okay.
He directed this movie. It's called Brain Dead.
Okay.
It may or may not be just as bad as.
I think I was recommended this movie by somebody. I believe.
You've been assigned.
Okay.
Now, I also have not seen this movie. This movie also falls in my Halloween list that I've not seen, so I also get the pleasure of watching this movie. I do not know whether this movie's great or not, but it's part of the adventure, Steve.
Is it?
Listen, if we just keep saying that to ourselves, then it has to be true at some point, right? Okay. Just fake it till you make it, Steve. It's fake it till you make it. It's called Brain Dead. It might be 1992.
Okay.
The poster should be like somebody holding their mouth open and like eyes inside the mouth.
Okay. Oh, that one. Right. Okay.
Yes. 1992. Brain Dead. What summer movie are you going to give me?
Let me hit Les Shuffle.
Les Shuffle. Les Shuffle.
Les Shuffle. All right. Ready?
I don't know.
It's well, should I give you another Stephen King right in a row? Is that too much Stephen King?
Dude, you can do whatever you want. This is America. Do whatever you want. I don't care what you do.
Yeah. I will give you. Okay. We have there are 2 options here.
Oh my gosh, dude. Are you gonna make me pick a number?
I know. I'm gonna make you. I'm gonna flip a coaster because I don't have any coins.
Okay, flip a coaster, Steve.
Heads new, tails old. Right? Call it which way. I'll just flip it.
Heads,
tail old. Okay, so the what you picked is the 1989 Pet Sematary.
Oh my gosh, dude. Okay.
It's on your watch list.
I know it is.
So I was going back and forth between the new Pet Sematary and the old Pet Sematary. I think they're both actually pretty decent.
So
if you want to watch both of them, you can.
I'm not going to do that. Full transparency. I've seen the beginning of this. Was one of the movies that I've never mentioned because I saw the beginning of it and it was so bad that I was like, I don't want to watch this movie, or I'm not in the mood to watch this movie right now. Like it's not hitting me. So now that you've assigned it to me, I will have to force myself to watch it.
If you didn't like, totally fair because they're different vibes. I kind of liked. There are things about the old one that I like more than the new one, but I kind of like the new one a little bit better, just because it's it's more modern. It's kind of more modern sensibilities as far as what's scary and what's not. So if you have started the old one and you didn't find it engaging, do the new one, 2019.
I'll do this. I'll rewatch the original.
Okay.
See how far we get.
Sure.
This may just be a twofer. I may just watch both of them and figure out which ones.
Yeah.
I
honestly watched the new one first before the old one.
Oh, okay.
And then I watched about a year later. I'm like, I should watch the new one.
Yeah.
But don't watch the second one. The part 2 that just came out recently.
So Bloodline or whatever it is.
Oh, so bad.
The one thing that I remember about Pet Sematary, and we can get into this next time, is the terrible parents who are not watching their child as it's literally walking towards the road, and there's a gigantic dump truck coming down the road.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, freaking watch your baby.
Yeah.
Don't be so distracted by what's going on. But like I said, it was the time.
Yeah.
Whenever I watched this movie, I apparently was not in the mood for what was happening.
Right.
So we'll try it again.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why it's still on my list, is because I watched it, but was like, nah, I'm not going to check it off the list because I technically didn't watch it. Okay. Pet Sematary.
Pet Sematary.
Okay, well.
Hope you enjoy.
I will see you next time.
Will you?
Don't forget to smash that like button and
smash that like button.
Yeah, that'd be great. By the way, we have followers on Spotify, which is that's the main platform that people listen to our podcast. Yeah. But we only have 5 reviews, so
we need more reviews.
Kick the lead out and give us some stars. But also just 5, just everybody 5. Because if you rate us less than 5, I'm coming to your house. I'm going to freaking find you through the analytics, and I'm going to get you. Unless you're across the pond, and I can't fly that far. And I'm mainly talking to Scott and Mark.
All right, dude.
Yeah.
Chat later.
See you later. All right, listeners. That's a wrap for another episode of Horrors Yet Unseen. Thanks for joining us.
And we'd love for you to become part of the conversation. Just drop us a voicemail at 1-216-202-5495 or email us at horrorsyetonunseen@gmail.com. And keep up with the latest by following us on Instagram. That handle is at horrorsyetonunseenpod. We'd also appreciate it if you like and review our show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Your support means a lot to us. See you next time.